Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum, sister. So I'm just trying to make a quick feedback video for everyone while I'm processing this stuff from their observation. So along with the email from this, you'll get the notes, the feedback and scoring form, as well as the audio from the lesson and some of the video that I took, which I have both streamed into one video as well as as separate files. Okay. So, alhamdulillah, a lot was good. Of course, you do a very good job holding the kids to high expectations with behavior. You react to off-task behavior very, very quickly, very sensitive to that, which keeps the kids on task very well, and kids are very, very well behaved in your classroom, as we've said before. So all that's very good. Now in the video here, I'm going to focus a little bit more on refinement areas. Not because there aren't other good things around this. There are good things. Just can't name everything. And for the sake of improvement, it makes more sense to focus on refinement. Okay. So look, just the first thing, you gave me a time. Excuse me. 8 o'clock was the time of the observation, and the class did not really begin until 20 minutes after that, and instruction didn't really begin until 25 minutes after that. So just for the sake of professional expectations, please make sure that doesn't happen next time. Okay, because I wasn't able to see the full lesson. So like on your feedback form, you'll have a 0 for the closure part because I wasn't able to see that. So like if 8 o'clock is the time you give me, like we're assuming that there's going to be a class lesson is going to start then, and I'll be able to see 45, 50 minutes of instruction. I had a observation with another teacher scheduled at 8:50. So I had to leave. So that was a bit of a problem. Okay, I understand there's things going on with other teachers, but, don't give me that time, please, if the kids are normally doing something else during that time, and it's going to be that way, or, make the arrangements that you need to with your colleagues. They know that you're doing an observation. If you tell them, just please make sure that's ironed out in the future. Okay? So some refinement points I had. First is academic transitions. So you're very, very good with the behavioral and the procedural aspect of transitions, which is wonderful. All that is running smooth in the classroom. Now, what I mean by academic transitions is, really has to do with the launch of the lesson or, launching new concepts when the concepts transition into lessons. So you start off the lesson going over the classroom rules and expectations. All that was very, very good. One question I was wondering with that I have in the feedback form is whether or not that's a daily routine. If it's not a daily routine, what was the purpose of going back over those during that class specifically? Which is fine to do it, every now and then. Just what is the routine? Like how frequently you do that? If you do that every day, that's wonderful. If that's the case, where you're doing that routine consistently with the kids, going over your visual with the classroom expectations, you can maybe involve the kids a little bit more in articulating things about it. Because if they've heard you talk about it several times, they should be able to do that. And you did a great job connecting it to Islam, the Prophet, the akhlaq, and the hadith of standing next to the Prophet ﷺ on the Day of Judgment and emphasize the kids that we all want that. All that was wonderful. So those are things that you can have some kids articulate next time. Even if you give them like scripted things to say, even if you have a kid stand up, repeat after me, you give them some sentences to say, no reason you can't start having them. If it's a daily routine, just like you have the I do, we do, you do with it, like if it's a daily routine, you're going over that every day, kind of let that process play out a little bit over the year, where you let them do it a little bit more. So they're processing it more. They're getting more engagement with different modalities beyond just responding yes to, do you understand? Excuse me. Another note I had was you can always connect it to their parents as well. Okay, so you did a great job connecting the manners to specific examples, that type of stuff. Parents always appreciate it if you're telling the kids, to practice good manners with your parents, always obeying your parents. You can say things like the kids. I think the kids the kids' respect for you is very, very high. So they don't want to disappoint you. Some of the kids, it might be because you hold them to such high expectations with their behavior in school, it might be that some of the kids have more fear of disrespecting you than they do of their parents. So sometimes you kind of help parents out if you have that dynamic with kids, where you can say to them, when I talk to your parents, we have parent-teacher conferences, I don't want to hear a single thing about you being disrespectful at home or you disobeying your parent, or that type of stuff. You can say that type of thing to the kids. I think you're in a position to do that, and that's a good thing. Okay. All right. So like now when it transitions, okay, I have the video here. When it's black, it means I was just recording audio during that time. So this is the point where you start transitioning from going over the classroom expectations to the learning, to the academic learning. Okay, so let's listen to that.
If someone's in front of you, you want them to move, say excuse me, or say please move. If someone's bothering you, please stop. Do you guys understand?
Yeah.
If someone gives you something, jazakallah khair wa iyyakum, good manners all the time. Does everyone understand the expectations here for my class?
And you're paced through the whole class
Are
of
we
teacher
gonna follow
inputs,
them?
output was all done.
Everybody say
The
inshallah.
rate, frequency. Okay. Gage, you're very good at that. Now here, now even that kind of silent moment right there, you could start talking about the beginning of the lesson as you're walking from the back of the room to the front of the room there. You know, there, you don't necessarily, it's not like bad or anything. You don't necessarily need that pause there, okay?
Today, we had some sentences. Well, first of all, we had this word. So, I'm gonna write down the words for you guys.
Okay, now here, you're writing the stuff on the board to do the activity. Where, I thought I had your lesson plan up here. But for the kids, I mean, what's going on here? The kids haven't been told anything about what's going on here. Now, I know it might be part of routine. Okay, we do reading in the morning, that type of stuff. They know that. But the launch of the lesson should be going on here. Okay?
First, I want to check the way everyone's sitting. Good. Very nice. Okay, mashallah. Good job. All right. So, I'm going to write down from yesterday's words.
Okay, there's very little space in between when I stopped the audio and I started the video here. Okay, so you're at the beginning of the words with the kids. Now what's happened here, okay, you went over the rules and stuff, you had all that phase, and you transitions, and they're in the activity of the lesson already. But where was the launch of the lesson, okay? You know, especially if you look back at the rubric of connecting the lesson to purpose. Okay, connecting to purpose. Now, you did a great job, you know, talking about purpose with the manners and everything and connecting that to Islam. And in your lesson plan, you had a really good thing written up about connecting reading to Iqra and the first revelation of the Prophet. Where was that? What that, you know, you didn't execute that. So, you know, and also too, the whole activity is very, very good. It's good explicit practice with the consonant, vowel, consonant words. You know, the kids follow the activity well. You have the visual engagement with the oral engagement. It's all very good. The practice itself is all very good of what you're doing here. Excuse me. But, you know, when you ask the kids, was this easy or hard, which is good to ask them that, you're getting good feedback. You got the feedback from them, though, is easy. All right. You probably could have anticipated that they're going to be successful in doing this activity. So the kids were ready for a little more conceptual, you know, like some more conceptual instruction in what they're learning that you could have begun with. Okay, so I mean, you can begin with, okay, students, you know, first we're practicing reading. Even if you practice reading it every day at this time, you can always remind them every day we practice reading because reading is important because X, Y, and Z. The prophets, you know, first thing revealed to the prophet was Iqra. Muslims should be good readers. We will develop as good readers because that will make us this and that. Okay, like you can go, even if it's the same thing you're saying every day, you can always go over the purpose of that. Then you get into today. We are going to be practicing consonant, vowel, consonant words. And, you can write on the board as you're talking this out. You can write out consonant, repeat after me, consonant, vowel, whatever to keep them engaged. But they are proficient at this enough that you can introduce the concept of consonant, vowel, consonant. I'm assuming you've taught them what consonants are, what vowels are. If not, that can be taught as well so that they can get the conceptual learning. And if you put that in there, it would allow you to do some extension activities later. But there wasn't any explicit instruction as to what is going on conceptually with these words, okay? So you have the 8 minutes of practice. Again, the practice was done very, very well. Okay, the visual connection, it's all very good. It's all very good for the practice. But again, that launch. Oh, the other thing with the launch, okay, we talked about this in the lesson plan phases. We not being able to anticipate things causes anxiety amongst the kids, and it inhibits their ability to learn. So at the beginning of every lesson, we want to give a 1, 2, 3 of what's going to happen. So after, today we're learning about consonant, vowel, consonant words. I'm going to talk to you about what CVC, or we're learning about CVC words, whatever. I'm going to talk to you about what CVC words are. We're going to practice reading some CVC words together. Then we're going to practice reading some sight words together. And then you're going to work, like whatever the 1, 2, 3 of what is happening, let them know ahead of time so that they know where things are going. And we haven't just jumped into an activity and it's like, is this activity, for the kids? They have things to wonder about then. Is this activity going to end? When it does end, what are we going to do? We want to make them able to anticipate things because they concentrate better when that happens. Excuse me. And learn better, okay? Smell.
Together. What?
And academic feedback for what you're doing.
Say it. What? Good. Emphasize the.
Okay, now here, if they say it's easy, again, like.
Okay. Easy or hard, you guys?
You could extend the activity somewhat. Okay, like if we have established CVC words, you could have an extension here. Okay, if this was easy, guys. We've had CVC words. Who can give me a CVCC word or something like this? Or something like that. You could do something like that. Or like when you transition away from this group work, there was more they could have done. Now here you're erasing because you're about to write new words and transition to sight words.
So, who studied? Just raise hand. Who studied what? See? Let me finish my sentence. Who studied these sentences?
And the threat of cold calling is a good
and
accountability measure. Make sure you actually do it sometimes.
You guys gonna be able to do it?
Yes.
We're gonna see. So we want to review these sight words, and then.
Okay, we want to review these sight words, and we want to test it, everybody. Okay, that's good. You said what's going to happen next. You maybe could have talked a little bit more about what that was going to look like. But also here, too, okay, even if it's been taught before, what conceptually makes sight words different than consonant, vowel, consonant words, okay? It's all the kids cannot get enough repetition of that type of stuff at this age. And it will help them have a better metacognitive understanding of what it takes to read well. So there should have been some point in here to me where you said, okay, those words that we said, they were all phonetic words. Students say phonetic. Phonetic, okay? Phonetic means you can sound it out perfectly. What does phonetic mean? Or sound it out perfectly, or if that's too much for them to correlate respond to, You have them follow you in the sentence. Repeat after me. Phonetic means, whatever. Like you can always guide the kids through repeating sentences to have them articulate deeper level concepts. All right. So now we're going to do sight words. Okay, sight words. Sight words are not phonetic. So sight words, if I just try to sound it out, I won't get it right. So sight words are words that I have to know. Most words in English are phonetic, but there's some that are sight words. And the sight words we use a lot, so we read them a lot, so we have to know them. Just something as simple as that could have been said in here. It takes less than a minute, and it's conceptual understanding of the academic material that they can handle, and you know how to communicate to them at a level that they can handle, and they shouldn't be. There's no reason to deprive this class of it, especially because what you had them do, they said it was easy. Okay, that's the main point from the lesson that I want you to take out, and the main thing to make sure you're thinking about and considering. And again, in the lesson plan, you wrote a good idea for the launch. I don't know what happened that you didn't execute it when it happened, if you're crunched for time or whatever, but providing that purpose, that preview of what will happen, and the connection to the conceptual understanding at a level they're going to be able to handle, which they're at for what we're talking about here. That's important to making the learning more meaningful. It's important because there's some kids who might be confused about the things we're talking about, and it irons that out. So that's the thing that the biggest thing I want you to take away from this is an area to work on, okay? Now, another thing here, excuse me. Okay, so later on, now again, your transitions are very good with their behavior.
Okay, all boys, I want you to stand up with your book in your mirror. Go back and go the other way. I don't need you more.
Now, the kids are very compliant with you. You have them that way. That's excellent. You hold them to high expectations. They're being very good here. If they were a little older, they'd be more testy with this type of thing. You don't want to rely on the fact that you have them being very compliant. Now, a question I have here, or a thing to me here as far as how it looks. So you did group practice with decoding the words and practicing the sight words. Now you're going to check each kid's notebook, but I had to leave shortly after this. But while you're doing this, you're one by one, you're going through them one by one, and all the other kids are either just staying in line or they're just sitting down. So I don't see why it couldn't have been set up where every kid does something as an independent practice activity, and then you go around and check the books one-on-one. I don't see why that couldn't happen. And, okay, we talked about exit directions, and in the form, I have a link, because we have a whole section on exit directions, which we talked about during lesson plan phases. I have a link to Michael Grinder's video on that in the feedback form. This is a perfect time to use exit directions, okay? You could have erased what was on the board or left one thing up as an example if you needed it. And you could have constructed the kids. You could have set, write out 10 CVC words. Then practice reading them, okay? What do they do when they finish that with exit directions? You always got to have what do you do when you're done? When you finish that, okay? Step 3. Write 3 sentences that use 2 CVC words or something like that. There's and then when you finish, practice reading everything you wrote, just like you just practiced, something like that. There could have been something on the board here to where, and again, I had to go 3 minutes after that, but to me, it's going to be like a long slog of time if you're going to go through each kid's individual book here, and they're going to line up and wait or be sitting in the desk through all of that. And that has the potential to have a lot of wasted time behind it as far as the kids learning, which I especially don't like in the morning hours because that is when their learning is best. So I really think an independent activity should have been set up here using exit directions. So in that sense, the phases of the lesson plan, I mean, really, you had good guided practice, but the launch and the independent practice were definitely lacking. There wasn't any way for me to see any type of closure because I had to leave. And even like an I do part where I'm talking about introducing this conceptual learning. Okay, sometimes it's like teachers, it's like we don't, well, I'm not doing the I do because they already know this well, so we can just get into the activity. That's all well and good, but that, if you know that they do it well, that's information you have about them that you should be taking the learning deeper now. Even if the activity is going to be kind of the same, you extend the conceptual learning to it. So that was those are the main things that should have been done here. Okay, so you can look through the feedback form. Inshallah, my hope is to have a follow-up conference with everyone so we can talk more about this. And again, we're focusing on refinement areas here to be for the sake of efficiency. So it's not to say that there was not a lot that was good about the lesson. There was. I'm very, very pleased and impressed with the classroom that you're running. I do want others to learn from what you're doing. And I ask Allah to continue to give us all success.